I never get tired of listening to Hugh. He is just an amazing orator and an amazing person. However, I'm not giving the vote of thanks. Wayne, would you like to come to the podium, please? Because it is now your time to do the vote of thanks to Mal and to Hugh, and Hazel's running off to get the gifts. So I'll hand it over to your good self.
Thank you, Peter. Just on behalf of everybody here today, can we once again a round of applause for Mal and Hugh. Growing up in Kingaroy, I remember there used to be a sports store called Norm Brimson, and Norm Brimson himself was a pretty good tennis player, and the next level was the guys like Roy and Mal, who were just that little bit too good for a guy called Norm Brimson, who used to play off scratch in golf as well. Mal told us all about tennis and how good Roy Emerson was, and actually how good Australian tennis was back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. It was just a wonderful era for sport for Australia right across the world, but particularly in tennis, where we really were the superstars, and of course at that same time became the professional era that Labour went into during the 60s as well. But it was just a wonderful time when we were glued to TV, and Mal was able to recap that, as Hugh said, straight off the cuff, and be able to update us about the marvellous player Roy Emerson. And I think we get to realise Mal always underplays how good he was too. He was a champion right across the world. Hugh, on the other hand, gives us the other insight into tennis, and wouldn't you love to sit down and listen to Hugh for about 2 or 3 hours to tell you some stories, because he's a bit of a cheeky lad as well, isn't he? And it's just thrilling to hear those stories, and about Ken Fletcher and what could have been, and you go back all of those great players. And I remember being in Melbourne once and listening to a story about Lou Hogue and what Lou had done, and how good he was as well. Look, we're absolutely thrilled that you could give your time, Mal and Hugh, to be up here. Hugh, I know you should be in Brisbane, and Mal, for you to get up to Blackbutt is marvellous. I can't believe that story about Ken and Emmo and the linkage there. That is something that we really need to talk more about and showcase. But it is very special with people like Hazel and the Blackbutt community. We know that we are going to get a statue about Roy Emerson, and let everybody know about how great he was, and hopefully we can get Roy, fingers crossed, we can get him back to Blackbutt when we unveil the statue in a few months' time. But once again, can I just say thank you very much for Mal and Hugh for coming up to Blackbutt and giving their very valuable time. Thank you, guys. And Mal, we've just got a very small gift here for you, and with some South Burnett produce that you can take home with you and enjoy. And for you too, Hugh, something to drink and eat on the way back to Brisbane. Back to you, Peter, I think.
Glad one of us are keeping an eye on who should be talking when and where. With that, I think we'll just, for the next 5 or so minutes, enjoy the dessert.
Hard-working mayor, who just about put his job on the line, I'd say, with Main Roads. And I'm just going to ask him now to unveil our little surprise. We were told, apparently, or the council were told, that we could not have a name attached to the word museum because cars would be driving along and bumping into one another. It would be okay to have the word museum, they wouldn't bump into that. So there's more to be said for Roy Emerson than we know. So this is a replica of what we're having, would that be correct? So on behalf of Blackbutt District...
Well, I've just arrived, and here it is, planted by Chuck in memory of his dear friend Ken Fletcher. And that's the tree Chuck came out here a few years ago and planted in memory of Ken, because Kenny Fletcher and Chuck were great mates, and so much so that Ken brought Chuck Finney, the great multi-billionaire Irish-American philanthropist, to Brisbane, where Chuck spent $500 million building medical and research institutes in Brisbane. And it was a great partnership, and this tree near Ken's statue commemorates it all.